Hello, and welcome to my first plugin review. Today we're going to look at GravityView, which is an add-on plugin for Gravity Forms. What I'm going to be covering today is a couple things. First off, I'm going to look at the plugin features, functionality, and the licensing. I'm going to look at the add-ons that are available for this plugin. I'm going to do a live demonstration of some of the features. Going to talk about a use case. Why should you use this plugin? How can you use it? How is it beneficial to you? And a note, this is not a how-to video. I'm not going to be going step-by-step instructions on how to do things. I will say GravityView has some excellent documentation. They do have some help videos, as well as their support is terrific, that if you can't find something in the help docs and you ask a question, they'll either provide the answer or at least point you in the right direction if it's not something that is normally covered as part of support. So what is this plugin? It is an add-on for Gravity Forms that extends the functionality of Gravity Forms. The main feature of this plugin is that it allows for the front-end display of form results, and there are many different layouts, whether it be a map view, a table view. There's a number of different layouts that you can do with this. They have the main core product, plus there are add-ons. The licensing as of the time of the recording of this video is a 3-site license, a 10-site license, and an unlimited site license. Depending on which license you go for, some of them include some of the add-ons, or the smaller site plan, for example, the 3-site plan, those add-ons are then an additional fee as well. So it all depends on what you're looking to do and how many sites you're managing. So what are some of the add-ons that are available? Import entries. This is great if you have an external database and you're looking to import them rather than having to manually enter them onto the website. Also, it's very helpful if you're updating records offline, you can import them and it will update the existing records in the database. Inline editing. This gives you the ability to look at the entry view in Gravity Forms and say, oh, I want to edit this phone number or whatever field it might be, and that you can edit it right in the entries view within Gravity Forms. Gravity Actions. This is a bulk edit tool that if, let's say, you have 15 records that you want to set all the state fields to be the same, you can do that. Calendar. This is a really neat add-on. I'm actually going to show this in my demonstration today. That if, let's say, you're using the website to keep track of some admin appointments, not that it needs a full calendar functionality with detail view and so forth, but just that you're trying to keep track of some things from an administrative perspective, this is a great way where you can submit things into the system and have it show up in a grid. Export. This is a way that you can dynamically give URLs out to your clients or to customers of a website, that they can very quickly download the form results on demand without having to have a login to WordPress. Math. This is a plugin that allows you to do some calculations on your forms. And entry revisions. Much like other areas of WordPress where you can track revisions, you can actually track revisions within the editing of Gravity Forms. So again, depending on what you're using the website for and how you're using the website, this can be very powerful for tracking purposes. Some use cases. These listed here are in part some of the examples that GravityView gives in their demonstration site, but also what I've used specifically this plugin for. One is a member/telephone directory where I was able to search by state, by community, a few different options, by name. Event check-in management. I actually have a nonprofit organization that I work with that they do a monthly meeting and we need to check people in for their meetings. And using a lookup field, we're actually able to check people against the registration system and confirm them for that one event. Display reviews. There are tons of review plugins out there, but oftentimes they're overkill. You don't need all the fancy features and functionality. You just want to be able to collect reviews on your website. And this is a great way where you would build a form and that you can then display those reviews add stars, all those nice things that you would normally see in a review section. And then finally, the last use case that I'm going to point out here today is alternative to using custom post types. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with what custom post types are, this is where in WordPress that you can extend the functionality, and rather than just having posts as blog entries, you have different, what I call modules or areas along the left-hand side that you would see. Oftentimes themes use this, for example, with teams or services, that when you install a given theme, you'll see it adds those along the left-hand side. Well, this is a way to accomplish that same thing without having to find a third-party plugin, without having to switch themes, that you could now create a layout and a content on your site that is now actually theme independent. So if you decide a month, a year from now that you want to change themes, you're not necessarily losing that custom content that you've developed. At this point, we're going to switch over into our live demo. All right, well, now it's time for our live demo of some of the features of GravityView. As I mentioned, this is not a how-to. I just want to highlight some of the many features that are in the plugin and what you can do with it. Just to walk through, I've actually enabled all the add-ons on my demo site here. We start with layouts, which is where, as I mentioned earlier, let's say, for example, you wanted to do a staff directory. There are some different layouts that you can add in for doing it yourself. There are some predefined ones. I'll show you that as well. Also, you can do data tables, which is great, where depending on the size of the page, it'll actually shrink or expand the table and hide columns. Some of the more interesting things you can do with the plugin is ratings and reviews. As I mentioned earlier, this is a great way that you don't have to do a reviews specific plugin, that you can just use a form. You can get feedback, allow people to do up to 5-star reviews. You can do A through Z filtering. If you have a website that has a large directory and you want to be able to say, oh, well, I want to go to the M, for example, you don't have to scroll through. You just click the letter M and it'll jump down to that. Most of these are fairly self-explanatory: featured entries, social sharing, SEO for each one of the entries. Also, advanced filtering. This allows you to go in and do some conditional logic and really hone in on what your view is going to show. Now we come down to the add-ons. The add-ons are some of the things that are available as paid additions that you don't need the core plugin, but that you can use separately from it. Again, I have the unlimited package, so I get all of these included. Import entries. This has been huge for me. I work with a couple clients where they have a phone directory that gets updated periodically, and we need to import it. And this way I just import it and it will automatically update all the existing records because we keep the unique ID of each record the same. Inline editing. This is another great one where if you need to make some quick edits, and I'll actually show you this one. Also, I'm going to show the calendar, because this is where I actually was going to use one of the event calendar plugins, and I found that for what I needed it for, it was really just for administrative purposes. If a homeowners association wanted to keep track of when some contracts or when leases were up, and the events calendar plugin was actually overkill for them because they weren't doing locations, they weren't doing tickets or anything. They just needed to keep track of on a calendar. So using the calendar add-on for GravityView here, it allows me to accomplish what they need. So I'm going to show a couple of these now, just walking through this. So let me just move my Zoom bar out of the way. All right, so let's take a look at inline editing. So here I have my sample event. I have my name that I put in for the fields. I have the event date. Well, right now I have this on the 1st. I want to move this to be 22nd. So all I did was I clicked on it and I was able to do that. Now I have my name. I can change my title. So again, depending on what you're using Gravity Forms for, this is a great way to be able to quickly make edits to fields. And if I had multiple records and I clicked on the column, it'll actually it'll put all of those into edit mode. To show you what this looks like on the front end with the calendar plugin, I'm just going to refresh this. And so one of the options is you can set a URL field for it. So if I were to click on this, it'll actually go, I set it to my own website, but you can see I hover, it gives me the description. I don't have to have a hover, but this is a great way just to show different entries in a calendar form. It can do an agenda view, a date view. You have a lot of flexibility with this. So a couple other things to show here. One moment. Okay, under views, I'm going to come into new view, and I can either build something off of one of my existing forms, or I can use the preset. If I use a preset, it will actually create the base form for me. And again, you can see there's a lot of different forms in here. There's been a couple websites where they wanted to do some work orders, and so I started with the issue tracker, which actually has a lot more programmatic fields in it for bug status and so forth. But you see there's a lot of different features that this plugin and add-ons has to offer. I've been using GravityView for probably close to a year and a half now. I have it installed on about 50 websites out of my 500 or so that I manage, and it is very beneficial. As I said, what I really like about it is that it allows me sometimes to avoid having to install other plugins that are often overkill. This really hones in on what I needed to do. The business map listing is another great feature. So that way I can show pins on a map, and that way I don't have to use some of the other mapping plugins. So you see there's a lot of things that you can do with this. In regards to the importing of data, let me just jump back over to that for a second. If I'm on a specific form, I can say import entries, or in Gravity Forms, excuse me, I can come to import entries here. One of the nice things about this is if I upload a CSV file, you'll see the second step says select form. I can actually say create a new form versus using an existing form. So again, depending on what you're looking to do with your site, there's a lot that you can do with this, and time saving, both for setting up a new website as well as for giving your clients access to this. So that was really all that I wanted to show today. I just wanted to give you a high-level overview of some of the things that this plugin can do. I'm just going to come back over to the list of plugins, add-ons, extensions that it has with it. Just showing this for a brief amount of time here. And it's really that straightforward. The website where you can actually purchase and download and see some additional demos of some of the features is gravityview.co. And you can see all their pricing. You can see all the different things that you can do with it. I mentioned the inline editing. You can also enable that visitors can edit their own entries from the front end of the website. So there's a lot to do. I got to give a lot of kudos to the team at GravityView. They are great in terms of replying to support tickets. They have things that are well documented. They have some various hooks that you can do, and that they may not give you the exact coding, but they at least point you in the direction to get started. So I definitely recommend this plugin. I've been very happy with it. It's a great extension to Gravity Forms and allows really a lot of different ways to use the forms. Even if you're not allowing people to fill out the form from the front end of your website, that you're only using it for admin purposes versus custom post types. Again, I find it very easy to manage and very happy with this. Hope you do as well. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed my review of GravityView. Please like my channel, please subscribe. I'm going to try to be doing these once a week or so. And if there's any plugins that you'd like to hear my input on and my review of, please leave that in the comments. From myself, Philip, President of South Florida Web Advisors, and Biscotti here, we thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.